do the record. Thanks, Kelsey. Um, Afternoon, everybody. My name's Tom Hall. I'm the principal here at Brighton High School. I have two guests on the Zoom with me. Kelsey Ranella from our PTSA, one of our building chairs, and then Courtney Stern, our work-based learning college career dedicated counselor, who is here to also answer questions and help me through the presentation. Um, we have, it looks like one, two, three, four families on at the moment. So I'm sure if you're giving up this time from your lunch hour or whatever you might be doing, we'll try to make sure we give you plenty of time to ask questions. So my presentation isn't very long, but we'll go through the basics of what we're doing here at school with your children as far as program planning goes and what you can expect over the next several weeks, timelines, time frame, that kind of thing. And then we will open it up to questions. Let me just share my screen. Okay, so hopefully you can see the presentation. I will go to slideshow. All right, and if you want to throw in a question as I'm going along, Kelsey will be monitoring the chat so he can, either stop me if it's pertinent or we'll make sure we get to that in the end. And then certainly you can unmute yourself when we're ready for you to just ask questions of Courtney or me as we get in. So thank you again for coming. Our topic today is looking at our um, program planning outline and what we do here at Brighton High School to get ready for next school year, which will be 2025, 2026. And on this particular slide with our program of studies, everything, as far as the courses, everything starts here. If you go on the BCSD website, you go to the high school page where it says school, choose high school. You can then click on BHS, the program of studies, and under that heading, you'll find a master list of all of our courses that we offer by name and department. There's elective videos, and then you can click on the entire program of studies handbook, which was redone. Very easy to maneuver, follow, formatted. It really came out quite well. And you can actually get a full description of each of the courses that we offer. If there's prerequisites, that students must meet before they take it, what courses are recommended, possibly prior to that course, and then what it's all about. And let's see, table of contents in that program of studies will list all the different departments and then specific courses. So I encourage you to go there if you want to look up any specific courses that we might be offering as you talk to your children. So hopefully you received, and I want to give Courtney a big shout out for this. You received in the mail a mailing right after the new year, somewhere around January 6th to January 10th. It was a letter explaining the program planning timeline. It also had an outline for each grade level for the courses that students have to take in that grade level, and then options for electives and some other information pertinent to that grade level. So that was all emailed, or not emailed, it was hard copied to your homes. Hopefully you all got that. I can't, Kelsey, you got a thumbs up. So hopefully we have everybody who got it. That's wonderful. For some reason, if you didn't, you can call the school and we can send you one, but hopefully you did get it in the snail mail format. But I think it's really important. I mean, that's kind of what we do is, choose courses, take courses, and create our transcripts as well as hopefully growing and, educating children and to be better citizens in the world, but they're also getting their courses. So hopefully you've gotten that. Oops, did I get off the presentation mode? I think so. Oh, there we go. let's see. So the teachers since middle of December have been submitting their course recommendations through our school tool system. They will recommend every single student for the next level course that might be appropriate. It's really easy when you're an English 9 teacher because the only option for 10th graders is English 10. But when you're an English 10 teacher, you could be recommending students for English 11, or you could be recommending them for AP language. So every department course has kind of different options for those students. Most of our, well, all of our departments, the core classes should be giving students uh, a sheet that we all agreed to use several years ago. Each department is a little different based on their courses, but students will actually request something on there and they think, well, this is really where I think I should be or what I'd like to take. The teachers can take that into consideration, meet with the student, talk to the student, and then they ultimately make their recommendation in school tool. We had our eighth grade family night. All course recommendations are now in school tool. Families, you should have the directions were in the hard copy mailing home on how to sign on a school tool and get your child's course recommendations and what courses they might have been recommended for. Um, remember, the general course load is 6 courses plus phys ed plus a free period for lunch and freeze. But on your student's course recommendation list, you could have 12 courses listed. Clearly, they're not going to be able to take all 12. Some are half year, some are full year, but those are all courses that a teacher recommended them saying that I think you would do well, or this would be a next best course to take. And in that hard copy mailing that you got, if there's a particular course that's required, that will be spelled out on that sheet for that grade level. Um, I started on Monday. Our counselors are now meeting one-on-one with students for at least a 15-minute meeting to talk about courses, talk to them about, future goals, future needs, things that they're thinking about doing. They will be meeting with those counselors one-on-one, and we're probably one of the very few high schools that actually does that, especially a high school our size. And that will happen from now until March 7th, that every student will meet with their counselor for an appointment and select their courses for next year.
There
Um,
was a question in the chat. You
yep.
mentioned the course recommendations. Is it possible for a student who's recommended for one level to request a higher level?
Yes, when the student sits down with their counselor and they talk, that's what the conversation's for. So let me go back to the English analogy again. So if you're a 10th grade English student and your teacher recommends you for English 11, and they didn't recommend you for the AP Lang course, which was the other option, but you really feel maybe 10th grade hasn't been your best, or you feel like, I'm really going to do it. I really want to challenge myself. We will encourage them to have that conversation with their counselor. The counselor will give that student, and Courtney, correct me if I'm wrong, the counselor will give that student a course recommendation override form that the family needs to sign off on, and the teacher will review it, the student will review it, but the parents need to sign off on it. And if you choose and the student is in that place where they'd like to challenge a higher level course, we'll keep that on file and they can be put into that higher level course. Um, the and one of the things we changed probably 6 years ago so that we didn't discourage kids from maybe wanting to challenge themselves if they really felt they should, but they didn't get the teacher's backing. The first quarter grade, so if you're an AP Lang, and, maybe the first 4 weeks are going really well, but then by the seventh and eighth week, they're feeling really stressed. Maybe they're not doing well. They could drop down to the English 11 course um, by the end of that first quarter, or anytime during the first quarter, without penalty, and the grade will not follow them. Their English 11 grade would be based on quarter two, three, and four. Um, I think that is there further follow up on that?
I would just say that, when a student does request to override a recommendation. We really want to look at the whole picture too. We always tell students to challenge themselves appropriately. So if all their friends are taking AP Lang next year, we want to make sure that it's an appropriate course for them. If a student isn't interested in a specific course, like maybe English isn't their favorite thing, then maybe that's not the place to jump up that level. And the override form really is for the the student to talk with the teacher about a little bit further about why they weren't recommended or what skills they may need to be successful in that next level course. And then, of course, we want parent permission to be able to sign off on that. But that's why we want them to go through this process so we can make sure it truly is an appropriate challenge for them.
All right. Thank you, Courtney. And I saw you answered the eighth grade question. And eighth grade students will meet with their middle school counselors all the way through June. And then once we officially transfer from the middle school to the high school starting July, then you can certainly contact the high school counselors. And the middle school counselors will call here if they're not sure, if they have a question that you've asked, they will certainly be in touch with our counselors as well.
So I actually had a question, if you don't mind. You had talked about how you have that policy where you can drop down a level. Is that
Yes.
also the case if you like take an extra class and then discover it's really not working out? Can you just drop it without that going on your transcript?
So dropping a class, we have a 2 cycle period in the beginning of the each semester, I would say. So for full year and fall classes, it's the first 2 cycles. And if it's a spring course, we're kind of in it now. So the first 2 cycles of the spring course, that's kind of our time for students to try out a class, make sure it's the right fit, and you'd be able to drop it without penalty in those first 2 cycles.
Okay.
If we get really later into it, then it may become a withdrawal on the transcript.
So, and the reason for that is we really need, that's why we do these presentations. You know, we have the one-on-one meetings with the counselors. It when we select the courses and kids choose, these are the courses I'm going to take. So when I have 12 courses that I've been recommended for, obviously I can take 6 or 7 at the most. We design our master schedule. It's unique. Every single year, it's a different master schedule based on the needs of the students and what they choose. And many high schools don't do that. They kind of stay with the structure and they offer so many courses. We build it from the ground up every single year. And we also do our hiring and reductions of FTEs or in a department based on the number of kids who are asking to take a particular course. So we really make a lot of big decisions based on this course enrollment. So that's why I do appreciate the time the counselors spend with the students one-on-one to make those decisions because we then factor it into budget. We determine if we need more, let's say teachers in the science department or English department, or can we actually reduce because we have a need in another area. So all of that's decided right after March 7th, between March 7th and the end of March. A lot of those decisions are being made. Um, so that's why it's important. So if you don't, within 2 weeks, typically kids will be like, well, this isn't exactly what I thought it was going to be. Maybe they read the program of studies and they read the description and it sounded like they would like it. Then they get in the middle of it and they just don't like it. Drop it within the first 2 weeks. Otherwise, we want you to continue with it. And, if you do have to withdraw later on, it could be a withdrawal pass or withdrawal fail, depending on where you are. So once all of the courses are selected after March 7th, we get a report where we will look at all the different courses, how many students signed up, and typically we will reduce any classes that are under 10. So actually, Courtney has been kind of our go-to person. We give her, let's say there's 5 or 6 courses that have maybe 3 students in one, 6 in another, 8 in another. And we ask her to call those kids down. They'll pick another elective, and then we run those numbers again and see what courses we get to where it's at least 15 students, or if there's under 15, what courses are they? If it's like a Calc 3 course that we have to offer Calc 3 for our students, we can't reduce it. We'll offer it pretty much no matter what. Or if it's an AP language course, we're not going to reduce that. If it happens to be a very small year for AP German, we're not going to cut that for those students. We'll still run that. But if it's something like our Health 2 elective, which, it's not mandatory, it's a nice elective, but we don't have to offer it. If I don't have at least 15 kids, we're probably not going to offer it. So all those decisions are made then. And then right at the end of March, maybe the early April, because our April break is so late, we will send home, and I believe it's through snail mail again, verification of the courses that your student is currently signed up to take. Now, that doesn't mean there might not be a conflict in the master schedule. So they may be called in the summer or in June when we run the master schedule. And Matt Como, who designs it and puts our courses in, does everything he can to give kids the options that they want. However, if you have let's say it's a senior and they want some very specific elective courses, and we only offer one section of each, or maybe there's two sections of one section of another, and there's such unique courses they happen to be running on the same period, which we try to avoid, but you can only do so much with 8 periods in the day. The student may have to choose, I'm going to take this course and not that course. They also, if they're doubling up, let's say in science, because that has a double period lab, they might be able to take both sciences, but they won't be able to take that elective course that they really wanted to take in business or in social studies. They'll have to make a choice. Generally, we try to get everybody what they want, but with the schedule and the constraints of it, it's not perfect. So you will have some conflicts, and students will need to make some decisions in June. If they can't take everything they want, they can drop something and add a different course that will fit. The next slide, we try to resolve all of our changes requests by June 1st. So if you and your child talk once the April courses come in and you look at what they are going to be recommended for, we would like you to contact your school or student to contact the counselor, or you can, if you have questions, try to resolve that by June 1st. Teachers can still adjust their recommendations. If a student maybe really turns it on in the second semester in a course, they say, you know what, you really did prove to me, I really would like to recommend you for that AP level course. They do, or an honors level course. Or sometimes if a student who's not a senior, but they happen to be, they happen to, what's the word I'm looking for? Get the senioritis bug. They somehow are susceptible to that in their junior year, and they really kind of fall off in the spring semester. The teacher might change the recommendation. And again, that can be something that the student and teacher will talk about and then hopefully make the best decision going into the fall. During the summer, you can certainly call, make appointments, talk to the counselor. Email is probably the best, and then phones. And our schedule and the course selections and student-specific schedules will be on the parent portal sometime the end of August. I don't want to give a date because sometimes we're working through unique situations with a course or a staff member, and we've got to move some things around. So we don't want to release the schedule sooner than we possibly can, because once you release them, I think students will automatically start sharing who they have, when they have it, and trying to change it afterwards is a nightmare. So we will hold it as long as we can, and then we'll send out the master schedule, and we'll let you know when we do that. As Courtney mentioned, schedule changes can happen in the first 2 cycles. They can drop a class. They can look to maybe, if they didn't challenge something before with a recommendation, maybe they can. But then after that deadline, it has to go to a committee to make those sort of changes. Let's see. So in our counseling department, here are all of our counselors on staff right now. As some of you know, Ms. Donahue's on a medical leave, and Lynn Drake is filling in for Ms. Donahue. She's doing a great job. She'll be working with your students to select their courses for 25-26. Our administrators, you can call any of us anytime. For those of you who have 8th grade students, that you were at the eighth grade parent night. I shared with them, we now, students will develop a transcript now that they're entering and they're in high school. And if you don't get the credits you need to move on to the next grade level, you will not move on. And this is pretty much kind of what our transcripts look like today. We will have courses from eighth grade that give credit, like language or math or science if they're accelerated. Then their freshman level courses, what their final averages are, what their credits are. If they have any exams associated with them with the state regents exams, that'll be on the right-hand side. And Courtney, I don't know, I have this slide just for you. If you want to just share a little bit about what you do and the opportunities students have to work with you on various things.
I sure can. Thanks for having me. So I think Tom really covered everything that I'm pretty much doing, but I'm super, super lucky and thankful to be able to have this position and work with everyone in the high school. So a lot of my stuff that I do is kind of behind the scenes. I do a lot of our seminar prep, working directly with our counselors and helping them with new programs and advertising. I send out those lovely monthly newsletters. Hopefully everybody is reading. And as you get into junior and senior year, you'll be starting to get those weekly. So seniors get a weekly newsletter in the fall and juniors get a weekly newsletter in the spring to kind of keep everybody up to date. And then I also help to co-coordinate the work-based learning program with Sam Rizzo, who is one of our Brighton High School business teachers. So we help get students situated with job shadows, which can be done in any grade level. And then in junior and senior year, it opens up our internship program and our general work experience program where you can get high school credit for either one of those opportunities. So what I usually tell students is if they have any questions about the work-based learning stuff, just to come see me so we can figure out what the best program would be for them. And then, I'm also here as a support for all students in the high school. They can come to see me at any time, either individually or in senior year. I offer senior office hours in the fall where students can come work with me on kind of that post-secondary planning stuff. I am certainly not a replacement for their high school counselor. They know them best and they have been with them for, by the time we really start talking about this stuff, 3 to 4 years, but I am here for any additional resources anyone may need.
Thank you, Courtney. And we're very excited that the board, the superintendent has supported having Courtney in this role to service so many different kids in so many different places at all levels. So thank you. And I see Ms. Vigiani, director of our counseling department, is on. Any words of wisdom, Ms. Vigiani, do you want to share quickly?
Just hello, 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 and welcome. And we're excited to see you and your students next year. If any questions, like Courtney said, if anything comes up, feel free to give any of us a call. Feel free to call me if you feel most comfortable, if that's would be helpful, but you're in good hands with everyone in our department. They are rock stars.
Would agree. Let me get back where I am here. Sorry. Okay, so just these are all academic support options that your student will talk to your counselor as well. If they've had scheduled student help with a teacher this year, that might be something we want to schedule for them by the time the schedules come out in August. It's much easier to have it on the schedule before they see it rather than after they see a free and then all of a sudden we take away the free because we're putting in student help. So students who might have struggled academically, their counselor might be talking to them about continuing some sort of academic help. These are options available to all students, regardless if they have an IEP or a 504 or any sort of plan. These are available to all students. We still offer, depending on the teacher schedule, before and after school help. Flex time here at Brighton High School is much different than the middle school. All the students are free. The teachers are free. They have 30 minutes to go see a teacher. Lots of kids who just have quick questions or they redo a test. They might be making up a quiz, all sorts of things they can do during Flex. We also have a peer tutoring option I'll share with you in a minute. And if you feel that your child needs some additional supports, more than these general education supports we can offer, the teacher, the parent, the counselor can put in a Brighton support team referral, and then we will come together as a team and explore additional services potentially and determine if there's other interventions we can try. We have a peer tutoring service that students through a club with an advisor put together. You can do it during the school day, or you can do it group tutoring after school on Tuesdays. Our flex time, if you're not familiar, 30 minutes, middle of the day between fourth and fifth period. Students, the great thing about it, students can choose pretty much a variety of things to do. They can eat, they can hang out with their friends, or they can actually go see their teachers. And it could change on a daily basis depending on what they do. Maybe they go meet with their counselor, they have a meeting, or they're going to get some extra help and assistance. It is flexible. It truly is a flexible flex period. Uh, I have the graduation requirements set here on this page, but I put up in the right corner, changing soon. The incoming freshman class and our current freshmen, by the time they're seniors, we're going to have a little bit of a different outlook for what's required to graduate from New York State. It's a statewide initiative. It's not just Brighton. We may only have one diploma. It could be just a Regents diploma, or it's going to be just a New York State diploma from your high school. We're not exactly sure how it's going to change. The gist of 4 years of English, social studies, 3 years of math and science probably is going to stay the same, but there's going to be some flexibility within it. We just haven't seen the very clear outline of it yet. But I know as soon as we get that information, we will certainly make sure our students are ready and are doing what they need to do to graduate, and we'll certainly share that with families as well. Same with
Dr.
the
Hall, do you have a slide about that?
Oh, do you not see
We're
it?
looking at the BHS Flex slide right now.
Oh, hold on. Let me go back. Something must have happened. Hold on. Thanks for catching me. So I want to keep going.
Credit to Dr. Nagel, actually.
Okay, so you were on the flex the last time? Okay.
Correct.
All right, here we go. Let me make sure. Okay, presentation. Okay. Do you see the graduation credits now?
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
So that's what's changing. I don't know exactly how it's going to change. The main courses, language, phys ed, all those things, I really don't see that shifting. It's just going to be how you can potentially create some unique approaches and unique pathways for students. If this isn't the pathway that works for your child, there may be a variety of different avenues to get to that diploma from New York State that weren't allowed prior to these changes. So more to come on that. Same thing with this next slide with all the Regents exams. If you're from New York State, you probably took all of these once upon a time when you were in high school. And uh, while it looks like they're still going to be offered into the future, there may be exemptions for certain students depending on the path that they're taking to maybe not have to take all of them and some of them. But again, we really don't have good answers on it yet. So more to come. I share this slide. Kelsey knows, Jenny, Courtney, every time we have a meeting where I can speak to parents. If you ever feel like this and you just do not know what to do and you feel like what is going on at that Brighton High School, your kid comes home and tells you something, or maybe you heard something was happening, and you're just like, could that possibly be true? Before you go on to Facebook and ask there, I would appreciate just send me an email, give me a phone call. I will definitely get back to you in a reasonable amount of time. Always try to do that, and I'll try to set the record straight. And then if you don't like how I've handled it, or you don't like what you hear, then do whatever you need to do on social media. But if you could at least give us the benefit of the doubt, I would appreciate it. We want to make sure that we truly are a team and we're in this together. And it's much easier to play collaboratively and as a team than trying to be adversaries. So we are in this together. We do better and we are successful when your students are successful. So with that, I'm gonna stop the share. Got plenty of time for question and answer. So with the few parents that are here, maybe you came on with a very specific question. You can unmute or throw it into the chat.
There was a question regarding college kind of recommendations for some courses and what are they looking for if your student is college ready or thinking about attending college. I think our department has a pretty firm belief in challenging yourself appropriately, and that goes for all courses and subject areas. However, generally speaking, we would recommend that students participate in the core courses throughout high school, so through graduation. So English, social studies, New York State requires 4 years of each of those, so there isn't much wiggle room there. But math, science, and foreign language do have less than a 4-year requirement. So again, these are really good conversations to be had with the child's counselor to talk about what's the best pathway for each kid, because it's not the same for everybody, that's for sure. But in general, we really recommend sticking with those core classes through graduation.
Let's see. How about any other questions? Phil? Oh,
I'll ask a different one. So I came on mostly because I have an 11th grader that I'm pretty sure will not listen to me when we talk about college. I'm sure everybody understands that. So I was actually hoping to get a sense of what type of guidance the counseling department helps the students with as they're going from junior to senior year. So you did say that the juniors will now get like regular contact from the counseling corner, but what does that look like? Again, for the person who works at a university, whose child won't listen to them.
So we have, I don't know if Courtney's already mentioned this or Dr. Hall, but we have a comprehensive curriculum for 9th through 12th graders in the form of seminars. Their seminars will start February 28th. The first cycle will be Dr. Hall and the administration's presentation on DASA, but from that point forward, there's 5 or 6 sessions that we will be focusing on the college and career process, the post-secondary education process, and that's going to range from logging back into Naviance, doing college searches, talking about your strengths, your weaknesses, revisiting your resume to make sure that's updated, talking about core values as far as careers are concerned, and then, making sure that students know that they have options and choices. And it's not the same for everybody. So making sure that they're challenging themselves appropriately and that they are getting what they need on a personal level.
Awesome. Thank you. Much appreciated.
And then lastly, we'll have on March 20th, we'll have our 11th grade parent night, family night. So put that in the calendar and we'll really condense everything that we reviewed with your child in seminar and have time for questions and answers. Court, did I leave anything out?
I was just going to say those weekly newsletters for the juniors pretty much summarize seminar every week. So we'll be summarizing what we're doing with your students every week. And then just like the 9 through 12 newsletters, posting other additional opportunities within the community as well that may be more specific to juniors, like we have a field trip coming up. I just sent it out to all juniors today to their school emails to the National College Fair on March 17th. So we will be taking a busload of students there. So kind of advertising a little bit more specific things to juniors in those newsletters.
Awesome. Thank you. Much appreciated. Then I know what to ask too at home. I heard you heard about this.
Yeah, for sure.
yeah.
Do you know?
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. I was just going to ask, are there regional variations in what colleges tend to like to see as far as preparation? I know that not every state has the same sort of preparation, so I don't know if there's a change there.
So every state does have different, obviously, graduation requirements and what they like to see. You can go on every college website and they will tell you what they recommend to see for courses. But again, that's every school is very different in what they're looking and recommending, and every kid is different, and every program could be different depending on what you're looking into major in. And then we've also got the kids that change their mind 10 times and we don't know what they're doing. So that is why we really live by that mantra of challenging yourself appropriately throughout high school, and continuing to challenge yourself through those core courses when and if you can. And then hopefully that will prepare you for whatever you decide to do when you're ready to make that choice.
Anyone else? You have the floor. Well, thank you for giving up part of your noon lunch hour-ish. So if you do have any more questions afterwards, please feel free to contact me or your child's counselor, probably better directly. And then Kelsey will post this Friday for Hall's Corner for any parents who might have missed it.
Thank you to both Dr. Hall and the counselors.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
You're
right.
welcome. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.